Última hora. El honorable Ted Cruz en la audiencia de confirmación judicial del Senado descubrió cómo el nuevo secretario de Justicia trabajara solo para el ilegítimo y no para el país, debido a que le pidió en reiteradas ocasiones comprometerse a cumplir su trabajo. Y este nunca se comprometió. El ilegítimo ahora controlará la justicia en el país. Así de claro dejan los demócratas la dictadura que están implementando, nombrando fiscales que solo trabajarán para el ilegítimo y los demócratas. Y no para todos. El titán debe regresar lo más pronto posible al poder. O la izquierda se apoderada por completo de Estados Unidos. A continuación el comunicado del honorable Ted Cruz.
As I look back over the 8 years of the Obama-Biden Justice Department, in my view, the most problematic aspect of that tenure was that the Department of Justice was politicized and weaponized in a way that was directly contrary to over a century of tradition of the Department of Justice of being apolitical and not a partisan tool to target your opponents. So it is very much my hope, if you're confirmed as Attorney General, that you will bring that reputation for integrity to the Department of Justice and demonstrate a willingness to stand up for what will be inevitable political pressure to once again politicize the Department of Justice and use it as a tool to attack the political opponents of the current administration. Eric Holder, before he was nominated as Attorney General, had likewise built a reputation as being relatively nonpartisan and a prosecutor with integrity. And unfortunately, his tenure as Attorney General did enormous damage to that reputation. As was previously discussed, Eric Holder described his role as Attorney General as being the wingman for President Obama. Am I right in assuming you do not view your role as Attorney General as being Joe Biden's wingman?
Senator, as I said, I don't want to comment on any individual's conduct as any of my predecessors or FBI directors' conduct in any way. But I can assure you I do not regard myself as anything other than the lawyer for the people of the United States. And I am not the president's lawyer. I am the United States lawyer. And I will do everything in my power, which I believe is considerable, to fend off any effort by anyone to make prosecutions or investigations partisan or political in any way. My job is to protect the Department of Justice and its employees in going about their job and doing the right thing according to the facts and the law.
Under the Obama administration, the IRS targeted the political opponents of the president. It targeted conservatives for their speech. It targeted pro-Israel groups. It targeted Tea Party groups. It targeted individuals perceived to be on the opposite political side as the administration. Will you commit as Attorney General that you will not allow the Department of Justice to be used to target those who are perceived as political opponents because they are political opponents?
Absolutely, I will not.
Also under the Obama administration, Operation Choke Point was used to pressure lawful organizations, lawful institutions, for example, that sell firearms, to constrain their lawful activity and to use regulatory authority to abuse and force them to comply with the administration's stated policies. Do you believe it's appropriate for the administration to use regulatory pressure to force lawful behavior to stop?
Senator, I'm not aware of the specific that you're giving, and I expect you don't expect that I would have been aware of it. But of course, I do not believe, as a general matter, that regulations should be used to stop people from doing what they're lawfully entitled to do, unless the regulation is pursuant to a statute, obviously, in which Congress is given authority to change the rules.
As you also know, Attorney General Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress, criminal contempt of Congress. That was a bipartisan vote. 18 Democrats voted to hold Attorney General Holder in contempt. They did so because he refused to produce documents to Congress for Congress's investigation of the Fast and Furious scandal, a major scandal that resulted in the death of 2 federal law enforcement officers. You've previously committed to senators on this panel that under your leadership, the Department of Justice will comply to the extent possible with requests from this committee. And I want to, in the course of this question, associate myself with Senator Whitehouse's comments and questions. He and I disagree on a great many issues, but on this particular issue, we are emphatically in agreement that senators from this committee should get answers, should get candid answers, should get substantive answers, should get real answers from the Department of Justice, regardless of the party of the senator asking that question, that is a level of oversight that the American people have a right to expect. Do you agree with that?
I do think that this is a level of oversight the American people have a right to expect. I want the department, if I'm confirmed, to be responsive to the extent it's possible with respect to the Justice Department's appropriate equities, to be responsive to the requests for information.
So you've had, previously you said you've read the executive summary of the Horowitz report. What was your reaction to the Horowitz report?
Well, I thought, as Mr. Horowitz explained, and I believe Director Wray agreed, there were problems with respect to the applications for several FISAs, that those were not consistent with the internal regulations of the department, and that those problems had to be corrected. I think deeply that we have to be careful about how we use FISA, and that's the reason we have pretty strict regulations internally and policies, and we need to find out why they aren't followed and to be sure that they are followed. And I understand that was the purpose of his report and his recommendations to Director Wray.
So you described the report as saying there were problems. That's a fairly anodyne way of characterizing it, given the multiple material misstatements the Horowitz report details, including Mr. Klein-Smith's fabrication of evidence and lying to a court, which he's now pleaded guilty to. I think that was yet another example of the deep politicization of the Department of Justice, culminating in a meeting with the acting Attorney General, President Obama, Vice President Biden in the Oval Office concerning the targeting of their political opponent. Will you commit to this committee that under your leadership, the Department of Justice will not target the political opponents of this administration, and there will be real scrutiny? What that report outlines, among other things, is weaponizing Oppo research from the Hillary Clinton campaign and launching a criminal investigation based on that. Will you commit that that conduct will not be acceptable under any Department of Justice you're leading?
So absolutely, Senator, but without trying to comment specifically on that matter, it's totally inappropriate for the department to target any individual because of their politics or their position in a campaign. The only basis for targeting has to be evidence of the risk of foreign intelligence problem or of a criminal problem. And that is a nonpartisan issue. That is a question of objective facts and law, and it can never be an effort to help one party or another party. In investigations and prosecutions, there is no party. The department is an independent, nonpartisan actor, and that's my job to ensure that that's the case.
Thank you. Judge Garland, I want to go back to the topic of protecting the Department of Justice from political influence and being weaponized politically. A number of Senate Democrats at this hearing have used the opportunity to cast aspersions to the job Bill Barr did as Attorney General. I think those aspersions are false. I think he showed enormous courage in fighting to defend the rule of law. But Bill Barr, when explicitly asked about whether he would terminate Robert Mueller. At his confirmation hearing, the same situation you find yourself, he said he would not terminate him absent, quote, good cause. Are you willing to meet the same standard of integrity that Bill Barr demonstrated? And will you make that same commitment to this committee that you will not terminate Mr. Durham absent good cause?
What I've said to committee and is that I need to get information about this investigation, which I do not have here. I understand that a decision has been made to keep him in place, and I have absolutely no reason to doubt that that was the right decision and that he should be kept in place. But I can't go any further without learning the facts of the investigation and what the status is.
So Judge Garland, with all due respect, and I recognize you've been a judge for 23, 24 years, judicial nominees sit in that chair and decline to answer just about every question senators pose them, as saying, well, as a judge, I can't commit how I would rule on any given case, and that's appropriate. You're not nominated to be a judge in this position. You are nominated to an executive position, and you're a constitutional scholar. You understand fully well the difference between attorney general versus an Article III judge. Bill Barr didn't know the details of the Mueller investigation at the time, but he knew that Bob Mueller was investigating President Trump, that it was highly politically sensitive. And so to show his integrity and commitment to being nonpartisan, he said he wouldn't terminate Mueller absent good cause. You have the opportunity to do the same thing. The investigation into Durham is highly political. It potentially implicates Joe Biden and Barack Obama. And I just want to be clear, you're refusing to give that same commitment. You want to keep the options open to terminate the investigation.
Look, I'm not refusing to give that commitment because I am a judge. I'm telling you what I think an attorney general ought to do, which is to look at the facts before making a decision. I'm also telling you that I will never make a decision in the department based on politics or on partisanship. So whatever decision I were to make, it would not be based on that. And all I can ask you to do is trust me based on a record of my 24 years as a judge, my entire career before that as a prosecutor, and my life before that. That's my record of integrity, and that's what you have before you.
So a similar line of questions that you were asked concerned the Google antitrust investigation. And Google, big tech as a whole, contributed over $15 million to the Joe Biden campaign. They're enormously important Democratic donors. There will be enormous political pressure to abandon that case against Google. Can you give this committee assurances that you can stand up to that political pressure just because Democratic fundraisers want to be lenient on Google, that the Department of Justice will not give in to that pressure?
So, Senator Cruz, I'm old enough to remember when there was a political effort to end the case in the antitrust case in the Justice Department against ITT, which gives you an idea of how old this is, that there is no ITT anymore, the International Telephone and Telegraph Company. This, if I'm not wrong, this was one of the paragraphs in the indictment, the proposed indictment, impeachment of President Nixon, I think, but it was around the same time. And it had to do with a partisan effort to influence the Justice Department and the Antitrust Division. I grew up knowing that this is not something that is permissible for the Justice Department to do. And my whole life has been in looking at Ed Levy and Watergate, post-Watergate attorneys general who stood up to that kind of stuff. And I can assure you that I don't care what kind of donor talks to me about what, of anything. I don't expect to talk to any donors. I have no conflicts. I don't own any Google stock, and I will do whatever is the right thing, and I don't own any stock, or I won't once, if I'm...
Let me ask two very quick questions, because my time is expiring.
Yeah.
Number one, you voted to rehear the Heller case, or actually the Parker case, en banc.
I did.
I argued the Parker case in the D.C. Circuit. As Attorney General, will the Department of Justice argue for the Supreme Court to overturn Heller versus District of Columbia?
Look, the department, makes all kinds of judgments like that. I promise, but I find it hard to believe that the department could think that there was any possibility of overturning the Heller case.
Okay, and then the final one, with the chairman's indulgence, because I'm at the end of my time.
Yeah.
9 senators wrote a letter to Chairman Durbin asking this committee to investigate Governor Andrew Cuomo's policies concerning COVID and sending COVID-positive individuals into nursing homes. A senior aide of his admitted to a cover-up to hide information from the Department of Justice. You've committed to a number of investigations here at this hearing today. Will you commit to investigating the extent to which the government of New York broke laws or covered up their policies concerning COVID-positive patients in nursing homes?
With all of these investigations, the Justice Department is open to evidence of fraud, false statements, violations of the law. They normally begin in the appropriate way in the relevant U.S. Attorney's Office. And that is the way that something like this, without commenting on this in particular, because I don't know the facts.
But in this instance, the acting U.S. attorney is the mother-in-law of the senior official in the Cuomo administration that admitted to the cover-up. Will you at least commit to not having the investigation done by a person with a conflict of interest?
Of course. I don't know any of the facts, but I can guarantee you that somebody with a conflict of interest will not be the person running an investigation of any kind.
Thank you.
Suscríbete al canal Tu Mundo Ahora y activa la campanita, así no te perderás ninguna noticia de los hechos más importantes de América y el mundo.